Hello, everybody, and welcome to Yeah, We Read It. My name is Laura Petro, and I'm one of the hosts.
My name is Meggie Gates, and I'm the other host.
And this is the podcast where we, as best friends, are rereading books and series from our childhood and reliving them as 20-somethings. This season, we are reading the Clique series by Lacey Harrison. We are on book 5. Mm-hmm. You know, if you're just tuning into us now, feel free to go and listen to the other episodes. But if not, much like a reality television, you can just jump in wherever, and we'll be happy to have you.
Absolutely. And we will try to recap because, you know, a lot is happening.
So much is happening. And so with this time around, we read The Pretty Committee Strikes Back. You know, I was just realizing as we started that intro, and I'm going to keep this in because I think it's funny, I was wearing earbuds for no reason.
Yeah, you were. There was a prolonged pause.
And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And you were like, what?
Yeah, I thought something bad happened.
No, nothing bad happened. It was just me questioning my own decision.
I thought maybe something tragic happened in your life, like tragedy consistently happened to Massie blocking this book.
God, this book, okay, I'm going to say it. First thing we have to say, this is the worst of the books we've read so far.
I would have to agree.
Well, and especially coming off of book 4 and book 3, which were just, like, insane rides the entire time.
Yeah.
This one just felt like such a toned down, like... And it's such a setup for fun because it's, in this book they go on a camping President's Day trip to get extra credit for their geology class.
Yes.
And I'm just like, and there's... The Briarwood boys are going to be there. And we're like, okay, the Briarwood boys are going to be there. And then it just kind of falls flat.
Yes. And the last book, honestly, the ending left off, so Claire and Cam have been a thing notoriously. If you read these as a kid, I feel like you would even know that. And Claire kissed Josh, who Alicia likes, and Massie and Darrington are a thing. That's basically all you have to know.
Yeah. Cam and Claire are fighting. Even though in the last book, Alicia said she was over Josh, in this book, she's just into him again.
She's just in, and Claire realizes at one point it's because Josh just looks like Alicia.
Yeah.
Which is iconic. I love that.
So, where do we want to start?
God.
Like, there's so many different things that happen in this book.
I don't even know. So let's see. Massie, when Nina in the last book, who is Alicia's cousin from Spain, comes...
Huge boobs. That's all you're needing to know about her.
Huge boobs. Everyone's obsessed with her, so Massie really needs to regain footing as the most popular girl at OCD.
Yeah.
And they are about to go on this co-ed camp trip, like Laura said. Mm-hmm. And Massie has a great delusional idea.
Yeah, these girls go up to Massie being like, and Alicia being like, do you guys have Nina's email? And then Dylan goes, like they have email in Spain, in all sincerity, which I thought was very funny. And then Massie's like, you guys don't even need Nina because you have me, and I make out with Darrington all the time. And they're like, you do? And like, her friends are like, you do?
Yeah, and her friends are like a little upset because she didn't tell them. Claire's the only one that knows that she's full of shit.
Yeah.
But her friends are like, why didn't you tell us?
But Massie's like, never mind that. I can host a clinic for anybody who wants to learn how to close mouth kiss in like the abandoned church or something.
Yeah, I read it was a chapel too.
Weird. But I literally wrote down, as I was reading this is a terrible idea. Because like, who does that? Who decides to just host a kissing clinic when you have not kissed anybody?
I personally was really excited because I was like, maybe this is when the book gets progressive. Maybe they'll be kissing each other.
I thought they were going to maybe kiss each other, but then I was like, I feel like I would remember reading that when I was younger.
Exactly. I would be like, wow, they are going to deal with their internalized homophobia. But the whole first class is about oral hygiene.
God, the clinic is so embarrassing. Like, it's like Massie hands out, like, lip gloss and, like, talks about, like, the importance of, like, brushing your teeth. And then she shows a PowerPoint with just pictures of, like, people kissing.
I forgot about that.
God, it was like, I was like reading it like, this is so cringe.
And Kristen's filming the whole thing because Massie thinks this is going to be a hit. She's like, this is for my video blog.
Yeah, and yeah, Massie's new thing is she wants to start a video blog. Mm-hmm. I will say in this book, they really love to like hit a home run on how poor Kristen is.
Yeah, they really were over her whole poverty thing, which I'm pretty sure is a line.
On page 5, I wrote down this quote, Kristen always had money issues, and it was a major bummer. And then followed up on page 12 by, Kristen's whole poverty thing was a major snoozer.
It incredible how two-dimensional they have made Kristen and Dylan, because Dylan's whole plot this book was that she had the flu in the last book, and she is now a size 0 or a size 2. And she expresses 3 times, I counted, that she's like, now that I have lost all this weight, I'm so boring.
Yeah.
The plot line is gone.
Like, literally, like, Lacey called herself out being like, yeah, I recognize what I did. And I'm not going to do anything to fix it.
Dylan has no personality outside of that.
And Kristen doesn't have any personality either. All she does is care about school, and then her friends make fun of her for being poor, and then she cries a lot.
This time she's, like, randomly obsessed with memories.
And Alicia, you ever, like, even in the last book, didn't really exist, and in this book she really fades into the background as well, which was, like, it's weird.
Yeah, Alicia just seems, like, bitchy. That's her entire personality.
Yeah, and, you know, this book starts as being, like, it's a camping trip, but it takes us, like, a good 100 pages to get to the camping trip.
Oh, my God. I know. I was waiting forever. It's all just...
There's literally 4 pages of the Pretty Committee's pack list of things to pack for this trip. Mm-hmm. It is a 4-page bulleted point list. And the only thing of note on it was that Massie's the only person allowed to wear necklaces.
Yes, that is true. And at one point, I am a light packer. I don't really care. And maybe that was because I was blessed with perfect skin. But they had cosmetics for 2 pages.
Yeah. And for like they're only going like a 4 or 5 day trip?
Yeah. They say 3 days, but then they keep saying a week throughout the book because Lacey just cannot decide.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, this book, like, kept going all over the place, and I feel like it kept changing its mind, but then, like, kept doing other things as well. You know, something that also happened early on in this book is Lane was the first girl in the grade to get her period.
Yeah, let's switch over a little bit to Claire and Lane's.
Yeah, well, because as we've been saying, this book is the most boring, but I think we both agree that this is the most relatable of the books we've read for, like, 12, 13-year-old girls. Yeah. I still cannot believe these girls are 12.
Yeah. Once again, Claire is obsessed with Cam, and she agrees to give that secret up to Lane.
Yeah. I really do feel like in this book, Claire is just deduced to Cam. Yeah. Like, that's all that Claire does now. It's just, like, whine about Cam and think about Cam. And if Cam was here. Yeah. There's literally a part where Massie's dog is choking on a piece of plastic, and Claire just goes, I just wish I could tell Cam about this, and I wonder what he would think about this situation. And it's like, your friend's dog is dying right now.
I feel like I would also kind of be that way, though, when I was growing up. Were you ever, like, in middle school, I'd be like, wow, if I got hit by a truck, would Tyler Hines even care?
You know, I wasn't a really boy-crazy kid, but I had friends who were really boy-crazy, who were just, like, the moment they had a crush, they were, like, all in. Yeah. All in crush mode. So I guess, yeah. I just personally can't relate to it.
That's fair. I wasn't, like, all in, but I definitely wanted something tragic to happen to me, to be like, maybe my crush will finally pay attention to me.
But Lane gets her period. Claire inevitably, like, tells her, I think she tries to hide from her the fact that she kissed Josh. Or, no, she does tell her finally. Mm-hmm. But then I wrote this down just like, why is it a big deal that Claire kissed Josh? Because Alicia did say she was over him.
Exactly.
And, like, how can you can't be mad at that. Like, you just can't. But she is, and that's Alicia's thing this book, is that she's secretly mad at Claire.
They are 12-year-olds.
They are 12-year-olds.
So they show up the day the bus is taking off. Finally, we're getting to the juicy part. We're getting to camp. And there's, like, a lot that happens to them showing up at the bus. Mrs. Marvel, Dylan's mom,
who we've hardly seen, she shows up.
And she is actually a really fucking annoying character.
God, she sucks, yeah.
Yeah, she keeps calling Dylan Pickles, and no.
It's like, I'm 12, don't call me Pickles.
I'm 12, don't call me Pickles.
Also, don't surprise me by chaperoning my camping trip with the Briarwood boys. How dare you?
Yep. I had, like, physical anxiety when Josh would, like, try to flirt with Claire next to Alicia.
Oh my God. It's so obvious that Josh likes Claire, and Alicia just keeps being, I don't know, do we think Josh likes me? And it's like, Alicia, he doesn't, move on. Yeah. And then every time, like, Claire's, like, trying to, like, dismiss him as, like, his, like, advances, like, it's just so uncomfortable. But it's like, I feel like I've seen that before. Yeah. Like, those young kids, like, the one doesn't know how to approach and one doesn't know how to be like, please stop.
I know. You don't want to hurt people's feelings.
don't.
Because then, like, everyone's going to talk. It's embarrassing.
It's so embarrassing.
And then my favorite moment happens. They get on the bus early because Massie doesn't want to talk to Darrington.
Oh my gosh, my favorite moment happens before that. It's when Darrington puts his arm around Massie, and then Massie gets nervous because she doesn't want people to think she's slutty by putting her arm on him.
Mm-hmm.
And then she puts her arm around his shoulder, and he goes, no, that's okay, and moves it to, like, the small of his back.
Yeah.
And she gets pissed because she doesn't like being corrected.
But also, 2 arms over the shoulders, that's buddy-buddy.
It's buddy-buddy. Massie should know better.
Massie should know better.
Even if you've done no boy stuff, you should know better.
She's mad at Darrington, but Darrington decides to not pick up this social cue and sit on the bus near her anyways.
Yeah.
Where Massie fakes car sickness and uses his sweater to pretend sleep for 5 hours.
Yeah, Massie is so afraid to talk to Darrington that she pretends to sleep for 5 hours. Let that sink in. 5 hours. It says she does not move from that position for 5 whole hours.
Is her doing this at 12 more pathetic than me going on a date with my high school boyfriend after a year and a half of dating? We hadn't touched at this point. And pretending to fall asleep in Pirates of the Caribbean 4 so he wouldn't put his arm around me. Keep in mind, I am 17.
That's a loaded question. I think we'll leave that up to the listeners to decide.
Okay. Had to propose it.
Had to propose it. We have to know, and we'd love to hear from you listeners.
Thank you.
Gosh, what happens next? Well, the big catastrophic thing, you know, aside from Massie feeling, like, embarrassed because she messed up her arm thing with Darrington, aside from Dylan's mom surprise showing up on this trip, it's that once they get there, the geology teacher, Mr. Miner, is like, y'all packed too much, limit it down, 3 shirts, 3 sweaters, a jacket, 3 pants, 3 pairs of underwear. Go.
Okay, I also, since my book was still at the library and I was reading your book, I wanted to discuss this because you said, like, is this legal? Can they do this? And at Christian camp, they would take all of our shit, not our clothes, but they would, like, when I went to Kairos, they would take all of our phones, like, put us in a basement, make us tell all of our trauma until we cried, and also block out the clocks.
See, but that's, yeah, and it's like, that's the thing, it's like, that's a very, like, religious-based thing, so I was like, this feels weird to do for a private school that's, like, a very, like, artsy private school where there's no uniforms, there's no religion. It just felt very, like, why wouldn't you just tell these people to pack light initially?
They are spending $1,500 on a 3-day camping trip.
Yeah, it's $1,500.
Give me access to my phone.
Exactly. Like, and it also just felt like, it just felt very, like, not for what this trip was, considering how nice these cabins were. And It's like, again, it's just like, it sounded like going into it, it should have been like, yep, camping trips this weekend. Remember, you're only allowed to pack 1 suitcase.
It also did not make sense that the cabins looked like Ralph Lauren ads, and they had an outhouse.
Yeah, I didn't get that either.
If you're going to spend all that money... Also, it seems like this was an Olympic training place. I think at one point they say
that it, like, was, like, the site of, like, the 1980s Winter Olympics
which
or something.
Which is kind of dope. Like, this, they set this up visually very cool.
Yeah. Visually set up cool, but plot-wise set up kind of messy.
I know. It did bring me back, though, and again, I hated this book the most, but it did bring me back to, like, going to summer camp, and it was very nostalgic. Didn't have any of this.
Oh, see, yeah, because, like, the most, like, we went on, like, a 6th grade camping trip, and, like, there was boys and girls, and there was also boys and girls from a different school, too, so it was, like, a whole thing, so you got to meet new people. But it wasn't, like, anything like, you know, this, like, we all had a big t-shirt that we all signed at the end, and we went canoeing, but there was no, like, kissing and sneaking around, and who do you have a crush on? It was just, like, hey, we're going to look at some moss for a really long time, and then there's going to be an actual fun activity surrounding that.
Oh my god. Mine was Catholic, but we were, like, little horny co-ed people. All I did was hold hands with this guy during Gremlins, but we shared a sleeping bag.
Wow.
I know, and I was in 7th grade!
That's pretty cool.
Tell Massie.
Well, yeah, we had, like, separate cabins, so I don't think we were allowed to.
Oh, yeah.
We were, like, chaperoned hard.
We did, too. But I definitely visualized, as much as they tried to push their image, I definitely, like, visualized Camp Wapsie. It made me really nostalgic.
Okay, I do need to talk about, so we know Lane has her period on this trip.
Hmm?
Lane is deduced in this book to just having cramps all the time.
Which I feel bad about.
I feel really bad about it. It just feels like I would have just stayed home at that point.
I would have too.
Even if I paid $1,500, I'd be like, give me a refund.
Lane is once again kind of set out to try to be a two-dimensional character, but I think that is a valid
Yeah, but
line.
it's like Lane is still, like, the way they describe Lane, she ends up being the most well-rounded out of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is Claire has bought a bunch of underwear at Victoria's Secret, and Lane, like, needs underwear because she's on her period.
Yeah.
And then she just starts, like, leaving them around outside, which I didn't understand.
Why can't you just put it in your closet?
Yeah, I don't know if she's worried that people are going to go through her closet. They never say whether this underwear is stained or not. That's why she's throwing them out. But at the same time, I'm just like, is she not using feminine products? Of all of the description in this book, like, the lack of description towards periods was just, like, weird.
I definitely did remember this one the most when I was younger.
Yeah.
I remember her throwing her underwear into the woods. I don't know if it was just so random, but I definitely visually remember that.
Yeah.
So, the first bout of drama starts when they are split up into 4.
Okay, that was another thing. They split up into 3 pods, and at first they say there's this many people on the trip, but when they split up into these 3 pods, there's only 6 people on a team. So does that mean there's only 18 people on this entire trip?
Well, you know what the pretty committee said? They said that people who are not on the soccer team, they don't count. We don't count those boys.
So Lacey just doesn't count them either, and will make you believe that there's 18 people on the trip.
Lacey is just a product of Massie's imagination.
That's
too.
true, yeah.
So they go on this pod, and Cam, Josh, and Claire are in one pod.
And Olivia's there too. I love Olivia. Bring her back more.
I do too. She offers to have Chris Plovett,
Something.
Ploppy, on
Chris Ploppy.
their team, and he is on crutches, which they can't hit home enough by calling him the Gimp the entire book.
Yep.
But he likes Olivia. Dylan wants to kiss him just because he can't run away because he's crippled.
Yeah.
And they lose, but Josh is flirting with Claire the entire time, and Cam is, like, obviously running away from it. I'd feel awkward.
And then Claire's worried that Cam is flirting with Strawberry, the girl that Alicia tried to be friends with in book 3.
Yes.
And so that's drama there. But then, Claire's entire thing is she's worried that Alicia's mad at her, and also trying to figure out how she can fix Cam being mad at her.
I felt the anxiety.
It was a lot of anxiety, and I would feel that way too. But again, I don't think either of them had any right to be mad at Claire.
I don't think so.
Yeah, like, just because it's like, Cam wasn't talking to her for weeks and didn't explain why.
Yeah.
And Alicia also explicitly said, you can have him, I'm over him.
Yeah.
Like, stupid, whatever.
These are 12-year-olds.
Again, this was my least favorite of them, because just a lot of things just didn't make sense.
So, she is heartbroken. She goes to Massie on this trip and is like, Massie actually asks her for kissing advice. And she says, I will do this in exchange for you getting me back with Cam.
Yeah.
Deal. So the next day, they have another muck, Massie's Underground Clinic of Kissing.
Oh my god.
Meeting.
And I like that they're like, that's such a naughty title, because you know what it sounds like.
It took me a while.
Yeah.
It took me a while, which is a little embarrassing.
I got it immediately, and I was just like, that's so dumb.
So, beforehand, Claire's very sweet. I really love Claire.
Claire's just, like, she's genuinely just a nice person who just, like, wants friends.
She brings a stuffed moose head, which, again, just practice on each other.
Again,
homophobia.
give the audience what they want.
Massie was expecting it. We're expecting it.
Yeah.
She brings a moose head, names it Deuce, which is Darrington and Moose
mixed together.
And I like the way she describes kissing, about how you just, like, no, and you go to the right, and it like right, center, left, center, right. I was like, that is kissing.
Yeah.
And it was a really good description. And then Massie co-ops that for the muck meeting while they are in this igloo.
Yeah, they're in an igloo that's melting.
Because Massie brought, like, 8 heaters.
And candles.
I don't
know. It was weird, and it didn't make sense, because it was like, how is this igloo this big to fit this many girls in it? Also, why would you do that? Like, why would you bring heat lamps into an igloo?
They're really adding fuel to the fire when you figure out that this is their geology teacher, Mr. Myers' igloo. That at some point he just built.
Well, no, they had an igloo session that morning, and Mr. Myers was the best.
Oh.
It's glossed over, but I was just like, what do you mean you had an igloo session where you learned how to make igloos?
I love that the boys' camp counselor is named Mr. Dingle.
Yeah.
What a fun name.
Oh, what a fun name.
But this is drama because when they come out of the meeting, Darrington overhears Massie either talking about kissing, because he's like, who are you kissing?
Yeah. Well, no, it's because the two girls that are in the clinic, I forget their names, they're like, hey, or like, Massie, you should like go kiss Darrington, or like something like that. And Massie's like, I don't kiss in public, and he overhears that, and he's like, what do you mean you don't kiss in public? You don't kiss at all. And like, they're like, what are you talking about? You guys make out all the time. And Massie's like, yeah, we do. Darrington and I make out all the time. And he's like, who are you making out with that's not me? And he takes the pin off that she gave him at the end of the last book and shoves it into the ground.
And then crushes it. And this is, like, really fucking embarrassing.
It was just embarrassing. Like, I felt embarrassed because it was just like, Massie, just don't lie.
Honestly, the patience that these 7th grade boys have is astounding. I mean, I hate siding with boys, I have to admit, but they are, like, it's astounding. I feel like no one in my 7th grade would put up with this shit.
Oh my god. It was just embarrassing. Like, yeah, Darrington, I hate to say it because I really don't like Darrington as a character, but Darrington deserves better.
They will have moments of vulnerability, kind of, that they touch upon, and his response is to wiggle his butt.
Yeah,
that's all.
Darrington's, a lot of these characters are two-dimensional, as we know, but the amount of times Darrington wiggles his butt, if you were playing a drinking game off of it, you would get drunk.
That is true.
So Massie's upset, and then tells Claire, hey, if you want to get Cam back, sneak into the boys' cabin, do a big romantic gesture like that, to show how much you care about him.
Mm-hmm. And Claire says, okay, fine, I will help you again with Darrington, come to your rescue again. So they plan the next day for Massie to meet up with Darrington at 7 p.m., and Claire will bring the Mutt girls so they see them kissing.
But Claire has had to figure something out because her and Cam, as their makeup, have agreed to also meet at 7 p.m. to have their first kiss redo.
Yes,
so,
Claire sneaks into the boys' cabin, dressed as a boy, and makes up with Cam.
But honestly, something that did make me really upset was Massie being like, hey, I get you're doing your redo thing, but you need to drop that for a second to help me out. It was just like, that was brutal.
Also, the next day when Kristen and Claire are helping her pick out an outfit, and she's so, like, frustrated with them because they won't pay attention.
Yeah.
And she keeps being like, Kristen, your parents are poor, I'm so, like, overhearing this. And she's like, well, I guess I should give Kristen, like, time to vent. She has been sleeping under my bed for 2 days.
Yeah, and we haven't even talked about that. So Kristen couldn't afford to go on this trip. So what she did instead was take the money she did have, buy a bus ticket to the Adirondacks. I forget how that's said. She buys a bus ticket to where they're camping, and then just lives under Massie's bed for a weekend. Which is weird.
Sounds terrible.
It sounds terrible.
She doesn't even go out. She just studies math.
She has to hide the entire time. And it's like, could you imagine for days having to hide from people and live under a bed?
It really sheds light on their relationship and how much anxiety they have.
Because Kristen was that afraid of being left out.
That afraid that they were going to talk behind her back, and I just feel sorry for her.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for her the most, I think, out of everybody.
Yeah, I think, because, like, Kristen, it's just, like, I think Kristen just doesn't have a place in the pretty committee, but wants to. Mm-hmm. And I don't think Kristen's realized the person she is yet, so that's why she puts up with this stuff and stays with them.
Yeah.
Because it's better than to be on their side than not on their side.
It's sad.
And it makes me sad that we're probably never going to get to the point where Kristen realizes that, like, oh, these aren't the friends for me.
Exactly.
Because,
Kristen has her individual book in the summer series, but we don't have the patience.
We don't have the patience to read the whole summer series because we know they're going to be summarized for us.
Exactly.
In the book that follows the summer series.
Exactly. So Massie is all done up. She's going to go meet Darrington.
And so they're, like, awkwardly talking. Mm-hmm. And then they have, like, this awkward kiss.
Yeah.
And then they pull away. And then Massie's, like, thinking, like, wow, he's going to tell me that he loves me. And then he goes, I don't think we should hang out anymore. And she goes, what? And then at that point, that's when she hears all the girls come back because she wants the girls to see her kissing Darrington like she says they always do. And so when she sees them coming, she just, like, pushes Darrington over and, like, jumps on top of him on the ground and just, like, starts making out with him.
Which is pretty wild.
It was a lot.
It was a lot to take in. So they're validated, and at this point, she was like, can we go back to that thing you said about why you don't want to be with me? And he's like, I don't think you like me. You're so moody.
And Massie's like, well, I don't think you like me. And then they kind of make up.
At one point, he's like, can I get a kiss for good luck? Or something at this point in the book. And she goes like, are you playing soccer right now? And he's like, what? No. And she's like, then why are you so desperate to score in front of everyone? And I was just like, yeah, I think you wouldn't like me either.
Yeah, it's just like, Massie is not good to Darrington. But then Claire's like, cool, these girls saw you guys kiss, whatever. I have to go meet Cam. Like, we're doing it. We're gonna kiss. And Claire runs over to the powwow log, and then she hears a girl go, I've been waiting to do this for a while. And Claire goes, what's going on? And then finds out that Alicia and Cam are, like, just about to start kissing. And Claire goes, Cam, didn't you get my note? I told Alicia to... Wait a minute. That note I gave Alicia to give to you, Alicia didn't give to you, and she's backstabbing me right now. Gasp.
So she runs away, crying.
Yeah.
And... then realizes in, like, a page that she's being ridiculous.
Yeah, she, like, realizes very quickly, like, wait a minute, I'm being stupid.
I'm being stupid.
But then Cam sneaks into their cabin dressed as a girl.
Funny.
And they have their first kiss with Cam dressed as a girl.
And this is a win for the lesbian community.
And that's a win for the lesbian community.
I would like to say that...
all I'm saying, keep going.
This is where I both feel seen and the most hurt because she says that Cam looks like a transvestite Massie, and my little trans ass was like, oh, and then they kiss, and I was like, well, I'm conflicted.
Well, because think about it this way. In book 2, when they were having the fashion show competition, remember when Claire was watching how beautiful Massie was when she was making her costume, and now she gets to kiss a boy who looks like Massie?
Friends, we're going to need you to go back to episode 2, because that is an important
It's an important one. I'm just saying, I think... out of everybody in this book, there is something about Claire's sexuality that will never probably be explored.
I agree. If you have bangs, you are gay. Straight across bangs, you are gay.
And she doesn't know it.
She doesn't
And I don't think the readers will ever get to know it either. It's going to be us driving this fan theory to the ground.
Absolutely. I stand by it.
Oh my gosh. Oh man. As we're close to wrapping this episode up, but we do need to talk about the fact that Dylan's mom is hooking up with their geology teacher this entire trip.
Yes, and it is not very subtle. They, at one point, they find the scarf near the end, her mom's scarf.
Like, shoved into the couch cushions in his, like, study.
And this causes her to be distraught, and she runs into the woods, at what point the pretty committee follows running into the woods. But this is important, because if they go in the woods... they will get expelled. Yeah,
they've made it very clear that if you break any rules on this trip, it's immediate expulsion, which, again, for a $1,500 trip, for how expensive a private school is, seems ridiculous. But here we are.
So this is the falling arc of the book. They are stuck in this woods for 5 hours.
Yeah.
Dylan starts straight up talking about how she wants to eat them. I think Kristen would be the best to eat, because she has the most muscle.
She said she would be too gamey. But I guess she would have the most muscle.
I don't know what that means. And at one point, I literally wrote what the fuck in this book because a bear shows up.
Yeah, there's just a bear that shows up, and they all just kind of sit on the ground and, like, freeze and wait for the bear to leave. And then Claire uses the gummies that Cam gives her to get rid of the bear.
So as they're coming out of the woods, they are met with a group of people. Cam, Darrington, most of the park, because they've been gone for 5 hours.
Yeah. People
are concerned. And Mr. Minor, that's his name, right?
Yeah.
Is stern. He's happy.
Not happy.
So he brings them into the cabin and...
basically just, like, lays it out for them.
They're expelled.
You guys are expelled. And my favorite thing is when, like, they're in the woods being like, do you think we're going to get expelled? And Massie goes... they're not going to expel us. We're the most popular girls in the school. The school would be so lame without us.
She makes a point.
I mean...
I don't think teachers are going to care about it, but the girls do say at the end that they will revolt in honor.
They get expelled anyway.
They get expelled anyway. And that's where it ends.
And the book ends with an expulsion.
Which is... I mean, what are they going to do without school?
I don't know.
They'll live.
We'll find out in book 6.
Yes.
Book
oh my god, we're on 6.
We're trucking through these. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yes.
Well, we've got through all of that.
Yes.
Let's talk about do our top 5 list.
And of course, we spice these up every episode.
We love to change up the top 5 lists.
For this episode, we are doing top 5 most embarrassing moments from Massie Block.
Thank God. Finally, we just get to watch her, like, she already sucks, but I'm kind of glad. She, like, deserves all of this.
Yeah, it humanizes her and is such a fall from grace.
Yeah.
So...
You should go first.
Okay. So, number 1, easily...
number 5.
Oh, we go...
Gotta save the best for last.
You're right. Number 5, simple one, when she spills conditioner on all of her luggage because she packed so much fucking cosmetics.
Yeah. Oh my god, she spills like a bottle of conditioner, opens in one of her trunks, and she freaks out about it. And honestly, it's embarrassing how she reacts to it. It's like, calm down.
I think she straight up says call 911.
Yeah, or just like, where's the nearest dry cleaners? I need to like FedEx quick ship this overnight. And they're just like, okay. Number 4, we already touched on this, is when Massie, to avoid talking to the boys she likes in person, because she's only used to talking in email and text with him, pretends to be car sick and asleep for 5 hours on the bus. That's embarrassing. That's so embarrassing.
You can juggle it up. Be asleep for an hour and then maybe be like, okay, I'll talk to him for an hour.
Gosh, I get we all get like nervous around the people we like sometimes, especially when we're like, I don't know if they like me back, and we all like say and do some embarrassing things. But for 5 hours?
That is committing to the bit and not in a fun way.
Oh my gosh, not in a fun way.
Plus, after she kisses him, she's like, I don't want to stop.
Yeah.
Number 3 is definitely easily starting a clinic when you've never kissed someone.
Oh my god, I cannot reiterate enough. Just reading that, I just felt, it felt just like, it kind of made my skin crawl, like how embarrassed I was for Massie.
It's those girls on YouTube who will be like, this is how you survive 8th grade. And that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'd watch those in college to make me feel better about my ego.
Mm-hmm.
Which is normal. And even starting a clinic when you have kissed someone, don't do it. Like, kissing, I feel like, is a thing that you just need to, like, you just do it and you learn how to do it. Exactly.
And, like, you can't teach somebody verbally how to kiss.
No.
And I think that's what made it just so embarrassing. It was just like, you can't do that.
Absolutely.
Number 2, is when the 2 of the kissing clinic girls call to Darrington being like, you guys make out all the time, and Massie has to backtrack and be like, I can't tell Darrington I've been telling these girls that we make out all the time when we haven't, because if I do, these girls are going to think I'm a liar, and then Darrington's also going to know I've just been lying about that to them, and so Massie's in quite a pickle, and I just that was just embarrassing too. Funny!
Darrington, utilizing theatrics, pulls off Maddie's pin and stomps on it.
Yep, that's pretty embarrassing.
But I would honestly feel so embarrassed if I was him.
God.
I'd be like, why are you lying about this?
Yeah, like, exactly. Like, good for her for, like, finding a way around it. But, like, I would be so embarrassed if somebody I hadn't kissed had been, like, telling everybody that we had. That's weird.
Yes.
Yeah.
And number 1, fall from grace, has to be after they kiss and Darrington says, I don't want to see you anymore, because Massie was expecting I love you. What a fucking vibe check.
That's so... Could you imagine your first kiss in the world? You pull away from it, and they go, I don't want to see you anymore.
They shouldn't have called this book The Pretty Committee Strikes Back. It should have been putting Massie Block in her place.
They don't really strike back at all. They really just fall the entire time.
The Pretty Committee tries their best.
The Pretty Committee just falls down and can't get up.
Okay, so to wrap up this episode, we have to do our State of the Union. There weren't a lot in this book, but
I think she wrote one the entire book. But
Massie was depressed this book. We gotta give it to her.
Well, she didn't have her Palm Pilot to write them down on.
She didn't.
Okay. So, something that's out this book is pretending you've done things that you haven't. Massie consistently in this book is lying to people, pretending that she's done things that she hasn't. And so is going to be being honest and being vulnerable.
Yeah,
it's a way to grow. People will respect you more.
Yeah, being honest, in, out, pretending you've done things.
Simple as that.
Simple as that.
Simple as that.
Okay, viewers, our next out. not breathing when you're kissing.
God, it is, Massie, during her clinic, tells these girls, you are not allowed to breathe when you kiss, otherwise you'll be labeled a dragon. And then, consistently throughout the book, because there's a few kisses in this book, everybody after the kiss comes up gasping for air. And it's like, y'all, that's not how y'all kiss.
Breathe out your nose. I promise they're not going to smell it.
And that's what's in.
Or if they do, they're horny.
Yeah.
They're little boys. They're gonna do whatever.
Gosh.
Breathe when you kiss, please.
In. That's in. That has to be in. Yeah, don't be... God, if you don't breathe when you kiss, like, that's like your...
What a hill to die on,
What are
literally.
you, a rock? Like, Jesus. And then our last out is... God, and this is a big one, folks. It's going to be using the only money you have to go sleep under a bed for a few days on a camping trip.
Genuinely don't think that one needs any more explanation.
When Kristen showed up, it was just like, why the fuck are you here?
Mm-hmm.
God, that's so stupid.
Instead, we'll emphasize our in, which is saving your money, being independent from your friends, hitting up those President's sales.
Yeah, she goes, I don't want to hit up the President's Day sales. And I was like, you should have just hit up the President's Day sales.
Kristen, Kohl's is calling your name.
We love Kohl's.
We love Kohl's.
We love to expect great things. Oh, okay, well, that's going to be it for this episode of We Read It. We are part of the Social Podcast Network. Make sure you're following them and us on all places you can listen to podcasts. You can also follow us at Meggie and Laura on all forms of social media, wherever your media may be social. And that's going to be it for this episode of We Read It. Join us next time for Book 6 when we'll be reading Dial L for Loser. It's going to be an exciting one. I can feel it. Anything will be better than this one, honestly.
Absolutely.
All
right. Thank you.
Bye.